Hey, I've had a couple people ask me how I make my pizza dough, so I was just going to show you guys. It's really simple. I got a packet of yeast, I got a measuring cup, and then a quarter cup here, and just some measuring spoons. This is rapid rise yeast, but you can use regular yeast too, it doesn't make any difference. And then I need a quarter cup of warm water. Dump it in, whoops, with the yeast. And then it asks for 1 tablespoon of flour. I just use the cheap, regular old flour. Just mix it up and let it sit for about 5 minutes, and it'll get all kind of creamy, and you know that it's been, sort of looks like a really, really pale coffee. So we start with 1 cup of flour, give or take. Actually, 1 1/4 cups of flour. So 1 1/4 cups of flour to start. And then we need 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. And I like to use, you can use any kind of salt you want, but I like using the coarse kosher salt. I like my salt to be blessed by the rabbi. So we just take 1 1/2 teaspoons, and it doesn't have to be exact, of course, kosher salt, or any salt that you prefer. And then this will be kind of hard because this is a big thing of olive oil. Then 1 1/2 teaspoons of olive oil, which makes for kind of a wetter dough. And then I don't always do this, but you can do like a 1/2 teaspoon or a full teaspoon of sugar. Some people like sugar in their dough. It does give it a little bit of flavor, a little bit of extra flavor. So I've just got some raw sugar in here, and I'll just take maybe 1 teaspoon, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. And we add 1/2 cup of warm water. There we go. And then let it rip. Our yeast and flour and water mixture is looking pretty good. It's kind of, it looks like a really super vanilla-y coffee. So once that's all set, I'll add that. Eventually we're going to add another, about another 1/2 cup of flour to this to dry it out. So we'll do that in a second. Let me stop it. Hey, so this comes out of the Gourmet Cookbook. This is the basic pizza dough recipe. You can find this online too. The only difference with this recipe, it's all exactly the same, as I used the coarse kosher salt, and I added the sugar. But so all the proportions are listed in there. It's easy to find it online. So my dough is all kind of mixing together. I haven't added anything else to it yet except for the yeast mixture. But I try to see if I can get it pretty smooth. But even that's not going to make a big difference. And then I just need 1/2 cup of additional flour, give or take. We'll see how it works out. I've still got my 1/2 cup from before. Take something about like that. Stop my mixer for a second. And then I'll add this. And hopefully it won't all slosh out when I start the mixer. For some reason, my mixer with this much flour is too low. Sometimes it sloshes out. But this should start to get all of it mixed together, and hopefully start to see like a real, like a ball of dough, kind of a wet ball of dough start to form in a minute or so here.
Also,
but this actually looks pretty good.
What is that you're using?
Oh, this thing? Just a spatula. So I'm just scraping, good question. I'm just scraping the stuff off the side. So this actually looks really good. If you look down inside the bowl, you can see that like there's really no dough sticking to the edge, and it's all turning into. So pretty much at this point, the dough is pretty much done, and all that we need to do is let it rise. And so I usually just grab a bowl of any sort that I can cover So I got this just green ceramic bowl. And I'm gonna take a little bit of flour and I'll put some on my hands. I'll put a little bit in the bowl. And I just put some on my hands. Whoa, and chop my hand off with the mixer. And once I've got some on my hands, the dough feels really kind of wet-ish, which I guess it is, as it should be.
It's to be expected.
Yeah, but with a little bit of flour, I should be able to get all of this kind of start to form a, hopefully not stick to my fingers. If it's a little sticky, just add a little more flour. And eventually you should be able to get it, oops, up and out of the mixing bowl in a ball.
Oops, looks like you dropped something.
I know, there's sometimes a little cleanup, especially when you're trying to do it fast. But I'll just knead it a little bit by hand and try to shape it into a ball. And it still has a lot of time that it'll need to rise. And it feels a little bit warm because of the warm water. And this will actually, it'll probably double or triple in size over several hours. So once I get it kind of pizza ball-ish, I'll just put it in my bowl. Maybe put just a little bit more flour on top. And then all you have to do, the last thing you have to do, is cover it with some plastic wrap. And you just don't want to totally seal it. You want to leave it some air to breathe, so you loosely cover it. And you could use a towel too, I suppose. But I just leave it so it's kind of loosely covered, like so. And then leave it in a cool, dry place. And it can sit out on the counter for, I don't know, the next probably 2 or 3, 4 hours or so. And then what I'll do is I'll take that and I'll split it in two. Once it's done, it'll rise, it'll get much bigger. We'll look at it in a little bit. And then I'll split it in two, and then I'll put it into 2 Ziploc bags, and I'll put it in the freezer until I'm ready to make it. Okay, so it looks like now our dough has risen sufficiently. It's much bigger and higher in the bowl than it was earlier. And it'll collapse a little bit as you pull it out. But if I put some flour on my hands, and I could divide this evenly into 2 separate balls of dough, and I'll put them into just little Ziploc bags and I'll stick them in the freezer. And if I was going to make pizza today, I could easily make, split this apart and make it into 2 separate pizzas. But since I'm going to actually probably do this, I don't know, maybe in a couple days, I'll just freeze them for now. And I've actually found that when I freeze them, sometimes they seem a little bit better. They make like a better dough. I'm not sure what's going on, maybe because all the yeast is, most of it's killed off in the freezer. I'm not sure. But anyway, okay, we're gonna spread out the dough. We got our dough here. This is one that was I put it in the freezer. It's thawed and it's now kind of soft and mushy. We've got a couple things here that we need to do it. I have a pizza peel, wooden pizza peel. I have I guess this is a French rolling pin. You don't really have to have one of these, but I think it does help get a really flat, thin pizza. I have some yellow cornmeal. This is gonna allow the flour to sit, the dough to sit on the pizza peel and slide off into the oven onto this thing right here. This is a pizza steel, a baking steel. This is from Sur La Table. I got this as a gift several years ago. It's all seasoned now. But this thing just goes in the oven while we get ready to do everything else. It's really heavy. And it can just go in your oven on the baking rack like that. set your oven, I just set it to 450. So I'd set it to bake, set it to 450 and let it heat up. And then I would put the pizza in after it was pretty well heated. And to spread the dough, it's really easy. You just take a little bit of your yellow cornmeal and put some on the peel. Spread it around. And then you take your dough. You might need a little bit of flour just so it doesn't stick to your hands for the dough, but we'll see. This one actually feels pretty okay. And once you pull it out, you can see how if it's too sticky or not. This one's not too bad. Oops. And once I set it down, I'm just going to put a little bit of flour on top of it, and then I'll... Okay, so here I'm just going to put, I got some flour. Just put a little flour on my dough here. And I'll put a little bit on my rolling pin, which will just fall right onto my pizza peel. And I just start rolling it out. And I like this kind of rolling pin, although you can use probably another kind, but just because it seems like it's easier to make it really flat. I go one direction, I go the other direction. I just want to make sure it's not sticking. You can test it out, sliding it a little bit. Oops. If it's sticking, I always put a little more cornmeal down. And it's sticking to my, need a little more flour. I'm already getting something that's pretty good size. It's like a good 18-inch size pizza dough. And it'll contract a little bit, but not too much. And it's pretty flat, real thin, and it'll pick up once we get it in the oven. But once you get it like this, you could make your whatever kind of sauce you want. Put sauce on it. How you like to use, make your own sauce or put some mozzarella on it. And then you can put, once it's all sort of dolled up with whatever you want, brush some olive oil on the crust. And then once the oven's really hot, you just slide it onto the pizza steel and keep an eye on it, but usually in about, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, it should be all crispy and ready to go. But this is the hardest part. And that's it. That's all you gotta do.